Hello students, today we will learn how to write the chemical formula. First of all, look at this picture and take screenshot of this picture.
Hello students, good evening. Today we will learn how to write a chemical formula from your chapter chemical and chemicals and chemical changes. Okay, so let's start. So there are three steps to write a chemical formula. What are that steps? Step number 1, write the symbols of each element that are present in the formula. This is the first step. Step number 2, determine the valence or charge of each symbol. Determine the charge or valence of each symbol. Okay, you have to memorize this step number 2. Okay, here I am writing the some elements, their symbols and their charges. Okay, and you have to pick from there that symbols and their charges of the elements, and you can easily predict the formula of any compound. Okay, so let's start. There are some elements. Here I will write the ions, and here I will write in front of ions, I will write the symbols, and here I will write the charge on the ion. Okay, first of all, what the meaning of ion? Ion means any species which carry positive and negative. Positive and negative charge carrying species are called ions. Positive charge ion is called cation, and negative charged ion is called anion. Okay, up to your standard class it is enough. First of all, what are ions? Any species, atom, element which have any charge, positive or negative, that are called ions, and the ion which have positive charge, that ion is called cation, and the ion which has negative charge, that is called anion. Okay, so like first is sodium ion. Number 1 is, you have to remember this thing, sodium ion. Okay, sodium ion is represented by the symbol Na+1. Okay, Na is the symbol of sodium element because it is ion. Ion means it may have positive or negative charge, so I write here ion. Na is a sodium because it is ion, so I write here plus, because sodium always found in cationic form, means it acquire positive charge, okay, in its ionic form. So sodium ion is represented by Na+1, yeah, Na +1, Na unit positive charge. Okay, so charge on sodium ion is +1. Plus means cation and 1 means 1 charge. Second is chloride ion. Okay, chlorides, again it is an element from chlorine, taken from chlorine. Chlorine has symbol Cl because it is an ion. Okay, what type of ion is chloride? It is of negative charge, so it is an anion. So chloride ion carries -1 charge. You have to remember all these things, okay, up to your standard. So Cl represent chlorine. When -1 charge occur with chlorine, then chlorine will become chloride ion. So -1 is the charge on chloride ion. Okay, now come to the next. These are a few examples, many more examples are there. Okay, third is potassium ion. Potassium has symbol K. Potassium is a very much reactive metal. Okay, most reactive metal among all elements, among all metals, that is potassium, and it kept in kerosene oil. Not only potassium, sodium also. So potassium has symbol K because it is an ion. I write here ion, so it must carry any charge, and potassium attain positive charge. It means potassium is cation in its ionic form, so the quantity of charge is 1. So charge on potassium ion is +1. Next, oxide ion. As you know that oxide means oxygen. Symbol of oxygen element is O because it is an ion. So oxide ion, so I must write here any charge, maybe positive, maybe negative. Okay, oxygen occur in negative charge, means it occur in anionic form when we talk about ion. Okay, so generally it carry -2 charge. How much anion? 2 anion. So charge on the oxygen is -2. Okay, now next ion. Next is hydrogen ion. Hydrogen has symbol H, and when hydrogen comes in its ionic form, it love to become cation. Cation means positive charge, H positive, and quantity of charge is 1 +1. So therefore charge on hydrogen ion is +1. Next is sulfate ion. So students, when we talk about ions, there are some complex ions. Complex means which are made up of more than one ions, more than one elements. Like sulfate is a ion. Ion means carrying positive or negative charge. What type of sulfate is the ion? It is of complex nature. Complex means made up of more than one element, like all these sodium, chloride ion, potassium ion, oxide ion, hydrogen ion, they all have only one element. Sodium is Na, chloride is Cl, potassium is K, oxide is O2 negative, hydrogen is H positive. Sulfate contain two elements in its ionic form. Okay, such ions are called complex ions. Example is sulfate. So sulfate is written like it, SO4 2 negative. Okay, because it is complex, this -2 charge, it is of whole of the species, so we will write it in bracket. Okay, so the charge on sulfate is -2. Next One more example of complex ion, that is carbonate. Carbonate ion. Okay, carbonate is again a complex ion. It is made up of two elements, carbon and oxygen, in its ionic form, and the carbonate ion is represented by CO3, and it is an ionic form. It carry -2 charge, so the charge is -2. Okay, next one is nitrate. Nitrate, it is also an example of complex ion. It has formula, it contains two elements, nitrogen and oxygen, in its ionic form. It is NO3. It carry -1 charge, so the charge on nitrate is -1. Okay, these are only very few examples. There are many more examples of ions. Okay, you must follow your book, okay, and you must memorize these one also. Okay, up to your standard. So the step number 2, determine the charge or valence of each symbol. So there are some elements, their ionic form and their charges. Okay, you can easily watch from there and predict the formula. And the step number 3, determine the common multiple of the charges and balance the total positive and negative charge, and balance the total positive and negative charge. Okay, so let us try one example. Like, you have to write the formula of, now it's time to follow all these steps, step number 1, step number 2 and step number 3, while predicting the formula of any compound. Like, you will try to write the formula of find the formula of sodium chloride. Okay, so step number 1, follow step number 1. What is step number 1? Write the symbol of each element. Sodium chloride, sodium has symbol Na, and chloride or chlorine has symbol Cl. Okay, this is the step number 1. Step number 2, determine the charge or balance of each symbol. Sodium has charge +1, so I'll write here +1 below sodium. Second is chlorine or chloride here. Chloride has charge is -1, so I write -1. Okay, now follow the step number 3. Step number 3 is determine the common multiple. Okay, you will directly do the cross multiply like it, this. Okay, so what do you have now? Na is multiplied by -1, and Cl is multiplied by plus 1. Okay, Cl is multiplied by plus 1. So charge is balanced, minus 1 plus 1, 1 is cancelled by 1, so you must cancel this plus 1 and minus 1. So now you will write it closely. So sodium chloride has formula NaCl. Okay, take one more example. Example number 2, find the formula of carbon dioxide. Okay, so follow the step number 1. What is the step number 1? Write the symbol of the elements. First is carbon, symbol of carbon C. Second is dioxide, oxide, symbol of oxygen is O. So the charge, now I will follow the step number 2. Again I write C and O. Step number 2 is write the charges. Right here oxygen is there, charge on oxygen is minus 2, so I write minus 2, okay, below oxygen. Now charge on carbon, I write here, ninth number of ions, it is carbon. It occur in cationic form C plus 4 and charge on carbon ion is plus 4. Okay, so I write here plus 4. Okay, now step number 3. Again I write the step number 2. In step number 3 you will multiply the cross multiply to charges with the elements. Okay, now what do you have? C is multiplied by minus 2. You will not write charges, no, symbol of the charges. C is multiplied by 2. No, O is multiplied by the 4. Okay, now you have to find the common multiple. Now you know that 2 and 4 are come in one table, so this is cancelled out by this, 2 to the 4. So carbon dioxide has formula, here is 1, here is 2. You don't have need to write 1. How many O there? There are 2 O. So carbon dioxide has formula CO2. Okay, take one more example from complex ions. Example number 3. Find the formula of sulfuric acid. Okay, so what is sulfuric acid? It has two parts, and they are, part number 1 is, you can simply say elements, it is hydrogen in its ionic form, hydrogen ion, and part number 2 is sulfate ion. Now it is easy for you to write the formula of sulfuric acid. Okay, sometimes you don't have the name of the elements in formula like sulfuric acid. Okay, So now it is easy for you. You can do directly. Hydrogen ion. First step, write H. Symbol of the hydrogen is H. Hydrogen has symbol charge +1. So below H you write +1. Second is sulfate. Sulfate is complex ion, and this is sulfate. Sulfate is writing like this: SO4. SO4. Write in bracket. Okay. So SO4 sulfate ion has charge -2. Below this write -2. Now follow step number 3. You will do the cross multiply charges with the elements. What do you have now? H is multiplied by 2, so here come 2. SO4 is multiplied by 1, so you don't need to write 1, so SO4. So this is a formula of sulfuric acid. Formula is H2SO4. Okay, so let's do the one more example on chemical formulas, how to write the chemical formulas. Like if you want to write the formula of water, water is also called universal solvent because almost everything dissolves in water. So water is called universal solvent. Okay, and water can behave both as an acid as a base. So next last example number 4, how to calculate the formula, write the formula of chemical formula. Now we will write the formula of water. Water is also called aqua. Okay, so it has also two parts. One is hydrogen. Water is made up of hydrogen, and second is oxygen. Water is made up of two elements, hydrogen and oxygen. Now try to write the formula of water. Okay, step number 1. You know that water has two elements, hydrogen and oxygen. Hydrogen has symbol H, oxygen has symbol O. Okay, now step number 2. Again I write the symbols. Now in step number 2 you have to write the charges. H, when come in its ionic form, it has +1 charge. So below H I'll write +1. Second is O. When oxygen is written in its ionic form, this is oxide, and it carry -2 charge. So below O I'll write -2. Okay, now follow step number 3. Again I'll write here H +1 and below oxygen -2. In step number 3 you will do the cross multiply the charges with the elements, cross multiply. Okay, now what do you have now? H is multiplied by 2. Here is no need to write the symbols positive and negative, only write the quantity of charge. H is multiplied by 2. Second element is O. O is get multiplied by the 1, so 1. Here is no need to write 1. So this is the chemical formula of water, and it is H2O. And what is chemical formula? Formula which tell us the number of atoms present in a molecule or a compound, that is called chemical formula. Like in one molecule of water,